the 24th pick in the 2004 NBA draft, the Boston Celtics select...
Imagine this, you make it to the NBA. You're playing alongside LeBron James and Shaquille O'Neal. You've got the skills, the confidence, and the spotlight. But just a few years later, you're homeless, wandering the streets with nothing left. This isn't a movie, it's the reality of Delonte West, a former player who had all the talent to carve out a solid NBA career, but whose battle with mental health would become his toughest opponent.
Young champ, I'm ready to work for goddamn Navy SEALs.
Today we're diving into how Delonte West went from a promising point guard to one of the NBA's most tragic stories. Born in Washington, D.C. and raised in Greenbelt, Maryland, Delonte West didn't have the easiest childhood. In middle school, he was constantly bullied. He often described himself as awkward, different from the other kids, a target waiting to be picked on. His appearance, his clothes, even the way he carried himself became ammunition for teasing. Those early years planted the seeds of a lifelong battle with mental health. Feeling isolated like he had no one to turn to, Delonte began self-harming. In an interview later in life, he would call those years some of the hardest of his entire life. But during the struggle, there was basketball. And for Delonte, basketball became more than a game. It became a lifeline. And luckily for Delonte, he was really good at it. He led his high school team to their first ever tournament appearance. And by his senior year, he was averaging 20 points per game and earning the title of the Washington Post All-Met Player of the Year. Basketball wasn't just a sport for Delonte. It was a path out of poverty, a purpose he could cling to. His talent earned him a spot at St. Joseph's University, where he didn't just play, he dominated. In the 2003-04 season, he helped lead the Hawks to a 27-0 regular season and a run to the Elite Eight in the NCAA tournament, finishing 30-2. Delonte averaged 19 points and 7 assists per game, establishing himself as one of basketball's brightest stars. By the end of his junior year, he declared for the NBA draft in 2004. Delonte West was drafted 24th overall by the Boston Celtics.
Delonte West from St. Joseph's University.
A moment that promised opportunity, success, and a chance to escape the struggles that had haunted him since childhood. Now, Delonte West was never projected to be a modern Ja Morant or Anthony Edwards. Nobody ever expected him to lead a franchise or become the face of a team. He was an undersized guard, a kind of player who could come off the bench, give you a spark, hit a few shots, and play tough defense. During his first 3 seasons with the Boston Celtics, Delonte quietly averaged around 10 points a game, showing gradual improvement every year, not just as a scorer, but as a passer and a perimeter defender. He was carving out a solid role for himself until things changed. In 2007, Delonte was traded to the Seattle Supersonics, but his time there was just short-lived, just 35 games, barely half a season. Then came a move that would define his career, a trade to the Cleveland Cavaliers. This is where the story of Delonte West truly takes a turn. In Cleveland, he found himself playing alongside a young LeBron James. But instead of stability, things started to spiral. Reports began surfacing of heated arguments with teammates. The Cavs eventually had Delonte meet with a team therapist, where he was diagnosed with bipolar disorder, a moment that would shed light on his struggles, but not stop the storm that was coming. Because not long after, Delonte West would make headlines for one of the most bizarre arrests in NBA history, while riding a 3-wheeled motorcycle. Police pulled him over for speeding, and what they discovered was shocking. Delonte was carrying 3 firearms, a pistol, revolver, and a 12-gauge shotgun, which was hidden inside of a guitar case, strapped to his back. For the Cavaliers, this was just a glimpse into the chaos ahead.
I want to thank my family, my friends, and all my fans, and the city of Cleveland are supporting me and just standing behind me through this rough time.
After LeBron James shocked the basketball world by taking his talents to South Beach and joining the Miami Heat.
And this fall, man, this is very tough. And this fall, I'm going to take my talents to South Beach and join the Miami Heat.
The Cleveland Cavaliers went from a team that contended every year to a franchise barely winning 25 games. The fall was sudden, brutal, and left a ripple that would hit Delonte West the hardest. In an attempt to rebuild, the Cleveland Cavaliers traded Delonte to the Minnesota Timberwolves, but it didn't last. Minnesota cut him almost immediately. Some say it was off-court struggles, others point to mental health battles. Whatever the reason, Delonte found himself back at square one, so he returned to familiar territory, the Boston Celtics. For 24 games, he tried to find his rhythm again, averaging 6 points and 3 assists per game, but the spark that had once made him special in high school and college was fading. Boston decided to not resign him. And once again, Delonte faced a tough decision. In 2011, he signed with the Dallas Mavericks. By now, the player who had once dominated high school and college was a shadow of his former self. In 24 minutes per game, he averaged 10 points, hitting 36% of his threes. Then things would take a deep dive for Delonte. After a preseason loss, Delonte was suspended following a heated outburst. Just 2 weeks later, after another locker room argument, he was suspended again and then waived. His NBA career, once full of potential and bright moments, had come to a sudden halt. Left to pick up the pieces, Delonte tried to rebuild in the D-League. He joined the Texas Legends and became a steady rotation player, averaging 12 points and 4 assists per game. At this point, Delonte had already done what he set out to do as a kid from Maryland. He made it out of poverty, built a life through basketball, and even shared the court with some of the greatest players the league has ever seen. 8 seasons in the NBA, over $16 million in career earnings. A dream that most can only imagine, and Delonte lived it. And this is where you think the story ends, where he stays out of trouble, plays a few more seasons in the D-League, and rides off into retirement. But that's not how the story goes. Because if things were finally starting to look up for Delonte West, they were about to come crashing down. After his time in the D-League, Delonte signed overseas in China, and he was hooping, averaging around 24 points per game, proving that he still had plenty left in the tank. It looked like a comeback that was real, but then another setback, a season-ending injury, and just like that, his team decided to not resign him, citing concerns about his health and consistency. He tried next season with the Shanghai Sharks, but after only 4 games, he was released. This was the final blow. Delonte made one last attempt to revive his career, in 2015 returning to the D-League, but deep down, he knew the game that had once saved him had finally slipped away, and a year later, Delonte West would be seen again, but not on a basketball court. He was photographed outside a Jack-in-the-Box barefoot wearing a hospital gown and a flannel shirt. It turned out Delonte had been in a treatment facility for his bipolar disorder, but had been given the wrong medication, causing him to hallucinate. And just 4 months later, a photo surfaced showing Delonte West standing on the side of the road in Temple Hills, Maryland, holding a sign in a cup panhandling. The photo started speculation in the media and on social platforms that Delonte might be homeless or in severe financial or mental health distress. Delonte West would state that he was in between jobs and had to do whatever for his babies.
Got children, I'm in between jobs, but as a man, I gotta do what I gotta do for my babies.
This would cause people to believe even further that he blew through the $16 million he made throughout his 8 seasons in the NBA. Later on, during a nasty divorce, Delonte West would be arrested while looking like he hasn't slept in days and is on something. Delonte would go on Good Morning America and give an update on his mental health and well-being.
Life with mental illness, they call it. I like to say mental superpowers.
Delonte West would do good for a little while, even holding a job for a short time, until he was seen again in rough shape, panhandling again. Delonte even managed to get arrested for the 3rd time on October 15, 2022, after attempting to enter a vehicle that did not belong to him. Delonte was booked on 4 misdemeanor charges, and just 1 year later he would be arrested again after violating conditions of his release and a suspected overdose in Virginia, which finally brings us to his most recent arrest on November 2nd, 2024. Delonte was arrested for trespassing after being presented with the video evidence and refusing to leave a restricted area in Huntington, Virginia, and he was held on a $1,000 bond and released the next day. This basically brings us to the most present day. Delonte West is still on the streets, and there are countless videos online of strangers stopping him, asking why he's living like this and what went wrong. Hopefully he's able to get sober and get a handle on his mental health, not just for himself, but for his children as well. Before I wrap up this video, I do want to touch on a theory that many people believe. It explains why Delonte's basketball career took such a sharp turn. During Delonte West's time with the Cleveland Cavaliers from 2005 to 2008, rumors began circulating about a personal conflict involving LeBron James's mother, Gloria James, alleging there was some sort of falling out or inappropriate sexual interactions. Now, Delonte West nor LeBron has ever publicly confirmed this rumor.
Sleeping with LeBron's mom? No. You ain't sleeping with LeBron's mom? Nah, man.
But there's people out there that believe LeBron's influence in Cleveland was so strong that front office decisions, rotations, and trades could have been indirectly affected. As a result, Delonte may have experienced reduced playing time, less support, or an eventual trade causing his career to derail, and eventually causing Delonte to spiral out of control. Now this is just a theory that I don't believe to be true, but I do want to know your thoughts on it. And that brings us to the end of Delonte West's story, at least as we know it today. From a kid battling bullying in Maryland to playing alongside LeBron James and Shaquille O'Neal, Delonte lived the kind of NBA dream most of us can only imagine. But talent and opportunity weren't enough to shield him from mental health struggles, personal battles, and the pressures of life in the spotlight. If you enjoyed today's video, please be sure to like and subscribe, as well as share this video with a friend. I'll catch y'all in the next one.